On today's video, we're going to tell you all about what's going on right now in the Raleigh, North Carolina real estate market, and also tell you about some of the shady behavior some people in the real estate industry are trying to pull on their clients right now. And plus, if you stay until the end, we're going to give you some insights on what you can do to navigate these crazy times. So the very first thing you need to know about what's going on in the real estate market in Raleigh, North Carolina right now is prices are going up. In Wake County, which is where Raleigh and Cary, North Carolina are located, median home price is currently sitting at $472,000. Compare that to where things were last year this time. Median home price last year this time was $462,000. This means home prices have gone up $10,000 in the span of 1 year. Plus, the average sales price has gone up $500 over list price so far this year. Whereas the same time last year, we were seeing homes sell for $3,000 under sales price, which means if you're planning on buying a home in the Wake County area this year, expect to pay not only list price, but possibly a little bit over list price to get the home of your dreams. So it begs the question, why is this happening? Why are prices up in this market? Because everyone knows interest rates are still relatively high. So why are homes selling for more this year than last year? Well, the first reason is some buyers, not all, but some buyers have become accustomed to the higher interest rates. They've gotten used to it, they've sort of baked it into their budget, and have gone about buying the house in today's market. As well, another big factor, some builders out there are offering some shocking incentives right now. And you can't forget, another reason the Triangle population continues to grow and grow and grow. Bottom line from all this, while some parts of the country like the West Coast or Florida or even parts of Texas have started to cool off, the Raleigh, North Carolina market is continuing to grow and heat up. And so we've talked about the country as a whole, we've talked about Wake County. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into specific cities. In Raleigh, the state capital, home prices on average have jumped $20,000 in a year. And as you can imagine, Raleigh being the state capital remains a hotbed for people that want to move here. Generally, when people say they want to move to the Raleigh area, most of the time they're talking about wanting to move directly to Raleigh. So Raleigh being in great demand, unfortunately, we're not seeing a lot of new construction and growth. So the supply is low, demand is high, you're going to end up with higher prices. Now let's talk about Cary, North Carolina. As we say all the time here on this channel, when we have buyers reach out to us to help them buy a house, inevitably, the vast majority of the time, people say, I want to move to Cary, North Carolina. And unfortunately, the numbers bear things out in that regard, because the numbers show that a lot of people are in that boat wanting to move to Cary. Home prices on average have jumped a whopping $57,000 year over year in Cary, North Carolina. And homes are selling for, get this, over $17,000 more currently than the list price. Meaning if you are looking at a home that's $500,000, you should probably expect to pay like $517,000 for it. And again, that's on average, and it is based on the fact that that house would probably be amazing with perfect exterior, perfect interior, perfect everything, price right, all of that. But something to bear in mind that if you want to move to Cary, you should expect to pay list price or possibly somewhat over list. And why is that? Well, again, we've already talked about it a little bit. People that are come to us find Cary to be somewhere they want to live, and the stats out there show that that's a common belief that a lot of people have. Cary is consistently ranked one of the very best places to live in the entire country on many of these reports from Money Magazine and the like. Cary just has a great quality of life, good education system, good shopping system, good everything system, great location here in the Triangle where you can be at many, many places at once very, very easily. Supply, demand being high, supply being low means Cary is going to cost you more. Now let's talk about Clayton, North Carolina, where prices certainly have gone up in Clayton as well. We're seeing a $5,000 increase year over year in Clayton. Now, Clayton is certainly not world renowned by people like Cary is. I mean, we're not having people from Spokane, Washington call us asking to move to Clayton, but when they discover Clayton, they realize all the advantages of moving there. We're definitely seeing a lot of interest there. we have to assume that other people that aren't working with us are also interested in Clayton because, again, prices have gone up $5,000 year over year in Clayton. Let's talk about Wake Forest, North Carolina, where we bought a house a couple of years ago. Prices in Wake Forest have gone up $30,000 year over year. Again, very, very popular suburb right to the north of Raleigh. Very much in demand, lots of growth going on in Wake Forest, and the prices bear it out. Last but not least, let's focus on Durham, North Carolina. Prices in Durham have gone up on average $9,000 from last year to this year. Again, a hotbed area where a lot of people are wanting to move to, especially into the downtown of Durham, where it's become the foodie capital of the Triangle. And also with Durham, you have close proximity to Research Triangle Park, so it's no wonder that Durham has become a very popular place to live, as is borne out by this $9,000 on average increase from last year to this year. But before you get in a panic and think that all cities in the Triangle Raleigh area have increased from last year to this year, that's not the case. There's still some cities where prices are moving at a slower pace than the ones we've talked about just a minute ago. These are generally the cities that are a little bit further out from the Raleigh city center, a little bit more of a drive time for people who work in, say, downtown Raleigh or in the Research Triangle Park, and so prices have gone a bit slower in these following cities. Let's start with Zebulon, North Carolina, where home prices have actually decreased $9,000 from last year to this year. And that being, of course, because Zebulon's quite a bit further out. You would never live in Zebulon and work in, say, Chapel Hill or Pittsboro. It's on the opposite side of the Triangle. As well, Zebulon has not had a ton of commercial development and infrastructure development that would kind of drive that demand. There's not like magnificently large mega grocery stores in Zebulon. That being said, it is very much a ground floor opportunity that if you don't have to go out and commute to work, maybe you work from home or have that remote work job, Zebulon may be a great opportunity for you. Our team has sold quite a bit of homes in Zebulon this year to people who do work from home because they don't have to drive, or people that work on the eastern side of the Triangle. They can easily live in Zebulon, be at work in 20-30 minutes, so it's not really that bad of a drive time, and plus you're benefiting from the lower cost of housing. Another city that has seen a decrease is Angier, North Carolina, where prices have decreased $18,000 from last year to this year. And again, Angier suffers from the fact that it is on the fringe of the Triangle, so it's a good bit of drive time to get from, say, Angier to Research Triangle Park or to the airport, etc. But the benefit of Angier is, of course, it's up and coming. It's one of the faster growing cities where we're seeing a lot of new construction going on in Angier, which means it's a ground floor opportunity for you to buy a house for a lesser price. Get in before Angier starts booming, and then you get priced out of that market and have to move even further out. So needless to say, with all this data I've just thrown at you, it's not an exaggeration to say the Raleigh real estate market has been a little weird this year. So let's dive into specific segments of the market, starting with the luxury market. That is everything $1 million plus. That market is still very, very hot. Generally, the luxury buyers are not as impacted by the higher interest rates. They probably have had a house that they've sold recently for a good bit of change, and we're actually seeing a good number of luxury buyers come in paying all cash and buying million, 2 million, 3 million. And so the luxury market is not suffering in the least. We've been quite busy actually helping luxury clients to match up with some of the newer neighborhoods that are coming online. The advantage for luxury buyers is most of the building that's going on, specifically in the North Raleigh or Wake Forest area, most of the building that's going on in that area is the north of $1,500,000 price range. So if you're buying a luxury home, you're going to have the opportunity to buy something in Raleigh or in Wake Forest. Unfortunately, for the vast majority of folks that are at the $1 house all the way up to a $1 million house, it's somewhat quite difficult. There's still some inventory out there in the Raleigh and Wake Forest area, and some of it being new construction, but by and large, you're going to be having to move to some of the other suburbs to get something that matches your price budget. So beyond the luxury market, let's talk about new construction market in general. We've already said on this video that some builders are giving some insane incentives right now. One of the reasons that's happening is we're starting to see some standing inventory that these builders are having to accrue. And as we tell all of our clients, as soon as the last nail is entered into the siding of the house or the last brick has been laid, the builder starts getting beads of sweat on their brow. Builders don't like having carrying costs of carrying a completed home. That is the opportunity that you have as a buyer to go out and seize the opportunity and get a fairly good deal on a home that's new construction built and ready to move into. In other words, to put a finer point on this, builders prefer to sell you a house when it's under construction, either that it's dirt or that it's just in the process of being built. They don't like houses that get all the way to completion and then finally find a buyer, because they've lost money paying those interest costs, paying those mortgage fees, all that they have to pay on that. So get yourself a very, very good agent, like our team, for example, to help you negotiate to buy a new construction home that's standing inventory. It's a great opportunity. You may not get a ton off of the asking price for that home because the builder's wanting to keep prices stable in the neighborhood by and large, but you are able to get some great incentives. They may help pay your closing costs. They may help buy down your loan rate. They may throw in some appliances or a fence or all kinds of things like that. Again, it's where a qualified, experienced real estate agent can be of great value to you buying new construction, because oftentimes those agents have experience with certain builders, where like our team has sold a ton of homes for builder ABC and builder XYZ. We're able to go in there and they recognize our name and know that we have clients and we will have more clients in the future. And therefore our team can advocate for you to get you some great incentives. And another segment of the market we want to examine is the resale home market, where sellers are trying to sell their home. On one hand, we are seeing a severe shortage of inventory on the resale market. For example, we're currently sitting at 3,874 homes for sale in the big four counties. That is Wake, Durham, Orange, and Johnson County. That is up from 3,200 homes that we saw in February. So we're up about 600 homes or so over the last few months. But that's still a shortage of about, I would say, 10,000 homes from where we really need to be in a more balanced market. So logically, with all of that information, you would expect that we're in a severe seller's market, where sellers are able to command whatever price they want to ask for their house, and that their homes are flying off the market in a matter of hours. But that's not always the case right now. Unfortunately, some sellers are overpricing their home right now. They think because we have a shortage that they can jack up the price and that buyers are going to come irrespective of whatever's going on with the house and are going to buy the house. Unfortunately, what's happening is a lot of those homes that are overpriced are simply sitting on the market for a while. I tell the story oftentimes, if you had a house that you listed for $1 million and it was really a $750,000 or $800,000 house, no one's going to come to you and say, "Oh, I think your house is worth $800,000, so we're going to make you an $800,000 offer on your $1 million property." They're not going to do that. They're going to assume that you're going to scream at them, slam the door in their face, and say, "Absolutely not selling this house for $200,000 off." So they're not even going to bother seeing your house. So unfortunately, a lot of the time when you have your house that's overpriced, even slightly overpriced, you're not going to get the number of showings that you would normally get if your house is priced more in line with what the market is saying. Another factor that's slowing down the market for resale homes is the higher interest rates that we've already talked about here on this video. So rates are hovering around 7% currently, and that is a far cry from the 3%, 3.5% we saw just a few years ago. A lot of buyers just do not have it in their budget to absorb the difference of the interest rate. So therefore, a lot of people are having to sit on the sidelines and wait, and unfortunately, not jump in and be able to buy those homes. Even though there's not really many homes to buy, we're almost sort of quasi at a balanced market because there's not that many buyers out for the number of homes we have for sale. And then couple that with the fact that because the rates are higher, because prices are higher, because a lot of people are in I would call it an inferior home right now, where maybe they're in a rental that's too small for them, or they're in an existing home that they own that's too big for them, but they're still somewhere where they're not like sleeping in their car or sleeping under the stars. So most people in general, again, they have somewhere to live, so they are really looking for the perfect home for them. They're not going to just go out and settle for anything. They will just stay where they are until the right home comes along. So if you have a home that is 5 bedrooms, 1 bath, you're probably not going to be able to get that home sold very, very quickly. Just know that buyers are looking for the ideal home at the ideal price with the ideal location that's going to work for them. And if your house doesn't have those things, they're going to pass it by and either keep waiting and keep looking until something more ideal comes along, or just continue staying where they live. And unfortunately, another factor that's causing homes not to sell very easily is hiring an inexperienced agent that doesn't know how to market the home. There are a number of homes that are sitting on the market for a while right now, and they just aren't getting marketed properly by the agent. They're not doing the things we do, which is reach out to buyer agents and say, hey, we have this home for sale and these are the unique features. They're sort of just waiting for a buyer to find it online or a buyer's agent to find it online. In this day and age, a listing agent has got to be aggressive and go out and communicate to the world, hey, look at my house, not wait for someone to come to them. Next segment of the market we want to talk about is the investor market. So our market is usually very, very strong with investors coming in and buying up properties and turning them into rental properties, or doing fix and flips, they're called, which is basically you buy an inferior home, do some updates, put it back on the market and resell it and make a profit. That market has been greatly impacted by the interest rates. Again, currently we're seeing about a 7% interest rate on a 30-year fixed loan, and that greatly impacts investors who use financing to purchase their homes. And in fact, most of the investors that our team is seeing and helping right now are all cash. They're using cash to buy these investment properties to do these fix and flips or turn them into rental properties. We do have some investors that are doing financing, but by and large, most of them are putting a sizable percentage down in cash and financing a percentage instead of financing the vast majority. And of course, this impacts the market as well. It means there's slightly more inventory on the market. One of the problems we had back in 2021 when the market was going crazy, was the number of investors that were in our market gobbling up the houses, especially on the starter home market, making it much more difficult for a first-time home buyer to jump in and buy their starter home and then start moving up the scale of selling and reselling and buying and rebuying homes. So all in, it means with investors not in the market, there is some more opportunity for first-time home buyers now. One segment of the market that continues to be overlooked, and we talk about it all the time on this channel, is the fixer-uppers. There's still a good number of homes out there where the seller is not willing, either financially or physically, not able to do improvements on the home before they put it on the market. That's a great opportunity for someone to get in to a home at a lesser rate, spend some sweat equity to improve the flooring and the paint, countertops, all that sort of thing, and get into a great home or make it into a great home. We have a good number of clients that have been doing that lately, and we in fact have also had some investor clients who've been doing that lately, where typically investors don't want to mess with updating, making drastic updates. There's a great opportunity in the market right now to do that. If that's something that you'd be willing to tackle, give us a shot. We'll be happy to help you with that and give you some more info. So as you can imagine, this crazy up and down and side to side crazy market we're in has resulted in some fairly crazy behavior from real estate agents and also some builders as well. First off, we need to talk about hungry real estate agents. So I know in general, real estate agents don't have a terribly great reputation, and this year is certainly no exception. Our real estate team has seen some crazy behavior. We've talked about it in the past on our channel here, and it's just not getting any better, unfortunately. Frankly, there was a lot of real estate agents that were around in 2021 and 2022, and they didn't really have to work very hard. There was a lot of people out there wanting to buy and sell houses, and they were basically, people were just falling from the sky. And if you had a real estate license, you could help them buy and sell a house. You didn't have to be all that competent. And so now that a lot of business has gone away and there's fewer people out there looking to buy and sell real estate, there's a lot of hungry agents out there. And so a hungry real estate agent, because there's no salary involved in real estate, that you only make money when you actually sell a house, because of that, you're going to end up with a lot of hungry agents that are starting to get quite a bit desperate. And these hungry, desperate agents are sometimes willing to say or do just about anything to get a transaction done. Let's start with buyer agents. These are agents that are helping a buyer to buy a house. So one of the common things that hungry buyer agents are doing is misrepresenting the flaws that a home has, or minimizing those flaws. If an inspection report comes back And again, we always recommend you get a home inspection whenever you buy a house. But that home inspection comes back and there's some things on there that we would call a deal killer that would result in you maybe not wanting to carry through with that transaction. A hungry buyer agent is going to say to you, it's not that big deal. We'll get the seller to fix it, or it's no big deal. It doesn't need to be done, all of that sort of thing. And they're doing it to get the transaction done, unfortunately. Basically, they're downplaying what's happening on that inspection report and the situation with the house in order to make money. Again, real estate agents do not make any income until they've actually sold a house and had a closing. That's why it's always incumbent on you to work with an experienced real estate agent that has a good book of business, that is constantly buying and selling houses and helping buyers and sellers sell houses. That way, they're not desperate to get your transaction all the way to the finish line. If you find a house that doesn't work out for you midstream, it's no problem when your agent is doing a good bit of business. They will be able to have your best interest at heart always and help you find another house. That is one advantage of working with a team like our team that is very, very successful in doing a lot of business, is you're not ever going to worry that we're going to talk you into buying a house. If anything, our team has part of our culture to talk buyers out of buying houses that aren't right for them. Next up, let's talk about listing agents. These are the agents that are helping sellers to sell their house, and they also can get very desperate when they haven't had a transaction recently. They're going to do some somewhat shady things to get their listing sold, and of course that again comes back to downplaying issues that may happen with the house, maybe over-promising you as the buyer that things are going to get handled and then they don't really get handled, or maybe promising that they would get a licensed electrician to do the work and they end up getting Billy Bob, handyman's uncle, out to do the work and it's much cheaper and that sort of thing. That can unfortunately happen with a shady listing agent. And this doesn't even just impact just the buyers on a listing agent side of a transaction. It also could impact the seller. These hungry listing agents are going to, when they are interviewing you to help you sell your house, they're going to brag about how awesome they are and how they can do everything that the big agents like our team can do, like full motion video and marketing on social media and all that sort of thing. But when you finally list with them and they're going to give you a deal, when you finally list with them, you're going to find out you're contractually obligated to stay with these folks and they won't be able to afford to do all that they say they can do. One glaring example is if you ever go on Zillow or any of the websites and you see photos of homes and it looks like a crime scene. Like they're terribly taken photos, like someone was, you know what I'm saying, when you see crime scene photos on television or online, it looks like that. There's no depth to the photos. There's no look about them. It looks like someone took them on like one of those old Instamatic cameras that like you sent off the film to get printed at the drugstore and something like that. Those agents that are doing those photos, they're either doing them themselves or they're hiring somebody super cheap to do the work. Generally, they're doing it themselves. And those photos don't even begin to look as good as a professional photographer's photos would do. We're not even going to talk about full motion video. They never do full motion video. Can't happen because it costs too much. An agent that's inexperienced or doesn't have a lot of business does not have the money to throw at marketing your home. And as we all know, the first showing on everyone's home happens at 11 o'clock at night, midnight, and the buyer that's looking at your home is wearing their pajamas and they're sitting in front of their computer. That's when the buyer decides, yes, I want to see this house. No, I don't want to see this house. And what do they use? Do they use the name of the street to decide that? No. They look at the photos and they determine their decision to see your house based on photos. If your house on Zillow looks like a crime scene, they're probably not going to come see your house. The other thing that these inexperienced or desperate listing agents do is tell you your home is worth way more than it is. We call these agents seller ego strokers. And basically what they're doing is they're going to tell you your home is amazing, it's going to sell for a ton of money, I can sell your house for $600,000, and then meanwhile the other agents that you've interviewed are telling you your home is worth $525,000, $550,000. So naturally you're going to hire the agent that says your house is worth $600,000 because clearly they know what they're talking about and they have some sophisticated marketing plan that those of us that are saying $500,000, $525,000, $550,000, we obviously don't have that marketing plan. Well, the only marketing plan they have is they're really good at lying to you and telling your house is special because your wallpaper is worth $100,000, and sadly it's not worth $100,000. But anyway, they're going to tell you that your home is worth more money just to get your business. And as unfortunately you're not going to see a lot of activity, not a lot of buyers seeing your house, and so therefore they're going to have to start lowering the price lower and lower and lower. So you start at $600 with this seller stroker, you're probably going to end up unfortunately having to sell the house at $495. Whereas if you'd have hired someone who said straight up your house is worth $535, you're going to make a lot more money. So beware of the seller strokers. Bottom line on this, make sure you hire an agent who has your best interest at heart. Our team is constantly getting calls from sellers saying, we need to get our home sold. We made a mistake and we hired the wrong agent. They had their interest at heart, not our interest at heart as the seller, and we need to get our home sold. Always make sure your agent takes time to analyze what the home is worth so that they can give you a decent, correct price and show you the numbers so you get to make the decision. Our team never, ever, ever says your home is worth $535,724.42. We're not going to say that. We're going to say based on the data, your home is worth somewhere between $525,000 and $550,000. If you wish to sell it quickly, you go more towards the $525,000. If you want to get top dollar, you go towards the $550,000. But ultimately, it's your decision as the seller. We're not going to tell you exactly what your home is worth. And please do yourself a favor. If someone walks in your home to do a listing appointment with you and they come on that appointment with a price to tell you, do not do business with these people. They used the MLS to look at what the house used to look like before you owned it, or they looked at recent sales in the area and they extrapolated that your house must look the same inside. They don't have a clue what you did. For example, we spent a good bit of money rehabbing our house and transforming our house from a dated house to a modern, like European look house. Our house looks nothing like it looked when we bought it and what it would look like online. So the price that someone would give us if we were a civilian that was selling our house, the price they would give us is absurdly low compared to what our house is worth. And your house may very well be the same. You may have done a ton of improvements. You may have put a sunroom on the back of your house with extra square footage. You may have finished off the third floor. Don't go on what someone says to you when they're walking in the door. Go with what someone says to you after they've been in your house, gone back, crunched the numbers and done the research for you, and then provided you that range. And unfortunately, it's not just the real estate agents that are doing some shady behavior right now because of the way the market is. We can't forget about all the shady behavior that the builders and the builders' representatives are doing as well right now. So one thing we talked about earlier in this video are the massive incentives that a lot of builders are offering right now. Sometimes it's to move inventory, sometimes it's to get a neighborhood started. It definitely is worth your time as a buyer of a new construction home to do your research and get that data, get it on paper as to what those incentives are. But always know you should probably get a second opinion. Sometimes the mortgage company that the builder uses is doing inflated numbers through the document, and it's kind of like jujitsu. If you have a second opinion, you may be able to get a lower rate that will end up resulting in you having a lower monthly payment. So know that it's always a wise idea to get a second opinion when you're going to a builder and they're giving you some special financing rate. Another thing we're seeing that builders are doing, they're putting some crazy language in their contracts, like that they have 3 years to build your house. I don't know about you, but I don't think I can wait 3 years to get my house built. I probably want to get it built within 6 months to a year. So make sure you hire a buyer agent. We beat this drum all the time. Make sure you hire a buyer agent who's going to take the time to look through the contract for you, like our team does, and make sure there's no shady, crazy stuff in there. It's always in your best interest to have that work done ahead of time and not rush through the process of buying a house even if the on-site is telling you you've got 2 hours before the house gets sold up from underneath you because someone else is coming along. And anyway, don't let that scare you. Take the time, do your due diligence, see what's in the contract, and know that you're buying a good house at a good price, at a good timeline. Another thing we're seeing with shady builders is they're doing their best to keep inspectors out of their homes. So again, we always recommend you get a home inspection, whether you're buying a resale home or a new construction home. And it's never more important than when the home is just about done to do a final inspection on that new construction home. Some builders are requiring inspectors to have $2 million worth of liability when they're doing inspections on a $400,000, $500,000 house. No offense to anyone buying a $400,000 or $500,000 house. That is an amazing house, I am certain, but I don't know why an inspector would need $2 million worth of liability coverage to go inspect that house, unless it's because there's very few inspectors that have that liability coverage, meaning they're trying to get you as the buyer to not even bother doing inspection. You don't need an inspection. We check the house over ourselves. There's no need for this to happen. Meanwhile, yes, you should get a home inspection. If you're working with us, we're gonna put our foot down and say, please, please, please get this home inspection. It will give you peace of mind. It's the best waste of $300, $400, $500 you can have if the home looks good. It's the best use of money if there's something wrong with the house. So please know though that I'm not saying that all listing agents, all buyer agents, and all builders are evil and they're out to get you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be wary of what you're dealing with and know to put your due diligence in to do research. And so with all that being said, let's give you some tips on what you need to do to watch out for to prepare yourself to buy or sell a house. Again, make sure your agent is experienced, has a full belly, so to speak, so they're not like desperate for your business. Make sure if you're selling your house that you're getting a good range of what your house is worth, and consult with your agent. Don't feel like your agent needs to tell you what to do. As far as buying new construction, incentives are great, but definitely get it in writing and get an idea of what you're dealing with, and know that you can always get a second opinion on a mortgage, among other things. Make sure that above all else, if you're buying a home, whether it's new construction or resale, that you're buying a home that's good for you. Don't settle on a home that's sort of as good for you. If you absolutely have to have the primary bedroom on the first floor, don't get the primary bedroom on the second floor and just settle. You're not going to be happy if you absolutely must have the downstairs. Our family cannot have a basement. Our Australian Shepherd does not need to go down a flight of stairs into a basement to get out in the backyard. So we would never buy a home with a basement. That is a non-negotiable for you. It may be something you want. If it is, don't settle for a house that doesn't have a basement. You get my point. Do your due diligence. Make sure you map everything out and make sure that you're getting what you want when you go to buy or sell your home. So if you're considering buying or selling a home, give us a call, contact us at the information below. We'll be happy to help you out. Check out this video. We think you're really gonna like this one as well. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, bye-bye.